is Sunday morning. I hope you all are doing beautiful. I wanted to hop on here a little early. You're going to hear a little bit of noise in the background. We'll come in a little bit closer just so that way the noise isn't too distracting, but hopefully you can hear me. As you're coming into the room, if you want to let me know where you're from, I'm from NC, over here on the East Coast. Um, any type of plant questions or anything you have, and I'll be in the room. I'm going to do my best to be able to answer them as soon as I can. But I hope you all are doing great. I'm feeling good. Um, Business-wise has been going pretty good for us. Actually, our wife, she's a travel nurse, and she had the option this morning to be able to stay at home or go to work, and she definitely stayed at home because we have so many orders we need to do. So as far as life and things that are going on like that, things have been great, which always correlates over to my plant care. So recently I've been just moving my plants around, ensuring that they're getting the best lighting as possible. The only thing about when I do a new move around is that it never feels quite homey. And the way that I usually fix that is I go and buy plants. Well, I can't do that this time. And the reason why is because as my plants start to grow, I noticed I've been having to move them out of the room just to make sure I have space for my others. So what we are going to start doing is slow down, of course, on the plant buying, and then we're going to start looking at different ways to put different shelves and so forth here in the room. I believe all my plants for right now, they are beautiful. Now, over here, I would like to change just a few things, and we're just going to see. I'm not a big fan of having to go through the gaps to get to my other plants. However, I know that they're going to be doing very well. The thing is that I've learned though is that if I don't have a convenient healthcare routine for plants, then I will forget about them, and I don't want that to happen. Now, I do not think I can forget about my big plants that are out here, but as long as I just set myself a reminder to actually go behind there, I believe I should be fine. Since I moved my plants here, though, I've noticed that they seem to be very healthy over here. Watering, though, I am having to pick up a little bit more with watering. And I know it's weird because, in the wintertime, things usually slow down. Well, because I just moved my plants, things could have been slowed down. But most of my plants I wasn't used to having to water them the way that I've been having to do. It's actually been throwing me off guard. But I've been in there doing what needs to be done. My Stramanthe down here and my Calathea, they really are. I'm gonna show you. They really are just a beautiful plant. I had no idea I was gonna get this plant. As with most of my plants, I just walked into the plant store and I was just gonna buy a pothos to put into a corner. I've talked about it before, but I really got started into plants because I love taking pictures of plants. And what happened was is that I just got tired of the plants. When the season changes, they die, and then I just can't get any beautiful plants. And I was like, I'm just gonna grow my own plants. So I thought I could just pop out and grow my own plants, and I realized very quickly that you gotta do more than just buy the plant. You gotta actually care for it, and that going to the store, buying and replacing just because you want a pretty plant so you can take a pretty picture, that got old really quick too. Like, well, let me see what I could really do, and that just started my curiosity on what kind of plants was out there and so forth. Now, I still think to this day the most beautiful plant of a philodendron is still a pink princess. When that thing is grown just right, I do not know the person's name, and I just beat myself up because I'm really good. Well, at least in the last 2 years, I've gotten really good at screenshotting stuff. Like, I was old school, get a piece of paper, pen, write it down, always lose the pencil paper, start 5 different notebooks, can't never find none of them, until it's too late. And I got into the habit of just screenshotting. Well, I wish I would have started a little bit early because it was this person, it was a young lady. She had this pink princess. It was like on the floor, but she had like growing lights around it. It was the most beautiful pink princess I've ever seen. Like, it was large. It was on just social media. I was on Instagram, I think. And I do not know if she out there. That's another thing that a lot of people get into plants because we're looking for a stress reliever, and what happens is that because it starts to feel so good, sometimes we overcommit ourselves, and I'm starting to notice a little bit more than before that people are kind of tapping out. I'm noticing that the my plant community, we still are growing, we still are doing great. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We still are. It's just I think we're just overcommitting ourselves to the thing that we actually loved and appreciate, and you just burn yourself out, and that's not what it's supposed to do. And I went through a phase in which I was like, "Whew, what are you doing?" Like, and then I had to tell myself, "Slow down, pay attention, don't be in such a hurry." And once that happened, everything became simple. I realized I'm a very simple person when it comes to picking out my plants. I don't want anything that I'm going to have to be overly worried about, or something that I'm gonna have to constantly invest a lot of money in just for it to do halfway decent. I'm just not into those type of plants. Now, let me go ahead and turn this. Could it be a time in which I I get to that point where I want to just start to take care of some bigger, beautiful, more expensive plants? I absolutely believe that. I believe there's some monsteras out there that are very beautiful that can cost in the thousands though. And I really want to make sure, number one, I'm ready for that, because sometimes it can be the genetics. And I'm not saying if I pay $1,000 for a plant, I won't get the best genetics. What I'm saying is sometimes genetics can um, determine how a plant grows. And you throw that in with a person who may not be the best confident in that, it's just terrible, So I believe though now I'm at a level that I feel fully comfortable in paying $500 to $600 for a plant and knowing that it's going to do pretty well, because I'm going to make sure I read that paper up and down and know that I have cared for something similar like that. Um, Most philodendrons are pretty much the same care though. It doesn't matter which one they are. Some you could put on a stake, some like to just grow wide in a pot. Like a philodendron, um, let's see here. Let's go with like an imperial red. Something like that. Let's get one. I don't know if this is the imperial red. It could be though. So we're gonna say it's. Have a cup of coffee down right quick. You all see this? All right. So this is the imperial red, and you can see by the dark leaf the way that it comes in. Now, sometimes a Prince of Orange could look like that as well. That's why I laugh when I'm saying, well, I did have a Prince of Orange. Could this be? I believe this is my imperial red, but we'll check to make sure. But the way the leaf is coming in, they're pretty much similar to it. Now, I'm going to start to notice that it's going to start changing and lightening up to like an orangish color as the leaf come out, if that is a Prince of Orange. Now, what happens in situations like that? The plant isn't receiving enough light. When they do that, your philodendrons, they will not push out the colors that you want them to be. Plants have to have a lot indirect light. They do not like that sunlight coming in, but you really need to give them some light. Now, what kind of light do you need to give your plant? That's completely up to you and your pocket. Now, I haven't overly committed myself to some high quality grow lights. Could that be enabling my plants from growing as big and healthy as possible? Possibly. However, I bought these plants on my terms. So, for right now, the grow lights that are working, my plants seem to be healthy, they seem to be growing, and they seem to be doing fine. I do know that there are better light companies out there that can provide the certain number of watts that they need and go from there. I know that, but I just don't want to invest in that money to do that quite yet. I just have a plan, I have a vision, and I don't want to start getting distracted in those type of things until after I get the whole formula just built up. Basically, just the placement in the room. I don't know where all these plants are going to be at long term, you know, and they're not going to be in here long term. So, I had a question. Huh. Let's see, guys. They said something about I can add a sticker in here. If so, I can put something in here. Let's see. No. What question should we put inside of here? What's your favorite? Let's. What's your favorite plant? There we go. All right, so we put a question up there on what's your favorite plant. I don't have a favorite plant because if I say what a favorite plant is, I'm gonna notice some of the plants start to act a little bit crazy. So let us get ready to go through the room some and take a look. We're gonna turn. All right. Let's get our light going. All right, and we are in here, guys. All right, so you remember this is my mealybug cabinet. Now, I have not gone through and done another treatment in there, and shame on me. But if you walk and take a look, you can see pretty much you're not seeing any mealybug breakout or anything right now. So the stuff that I'm using really does work. I'm very happy with the results. And I just can't wait to actually, oh, look like I got a bloom coming in on the Hoya. Now the Hoya was a little bit more sicker with mealybugs than the rest, but I don't even see any off gate just looking right here. Of course, I would have to get in there. And we definitely don't have no problem going on here with these guys. So I'm getting very happy. That's a good cabinet. Now let's go over here. The moonlight right here. Actually, just this leaf just unfurled. I need to get a picture of this one. And it's been doing pretty well since it's been here by the window. When I used to have it over there, it just wasn't getting enough light. The way that the grow lights was positioned, that they could hover over, but they were so high up versus you see the window, it's in a perfect spot. And if I had something a little bit taller, I could rise it up, but I just don't want it to block but so much light for them. But over here is the Scindapsus. Let's see if we can, I don't want this one to fall. You know what, we're just gonna go around this side. And oh yeah, I forgot I could do this. All right. Okay. That was harder than what it needed to be. And the Scindapsus. Loving, loving, loving this light. Now, I do have one thing that I need to do. I need to make this soil a little bit more condensed. It's very airy and my Scindapsus is drying out pretty fast. Now, if I'm fine with just watering this plant every 2 or 3 days, then I have no problem. But the thing is, I know that the chances of me doing that, it's not likely. So if I give it a little bit more soil in there, just soil that doesn't make it as airy, that way the moisture can stay in there a little longer, I believe that the Scindapsus is going to be a little bit more happier. It's still doing great, but I don't want the leaves to curl. I just don't want to stress this plant out without having to. Look at the size of that leaf. Y'all see that? This is my hand, by the way. Now, not every leaf on this plant is this size, but that's just crazy. All right. All right. And that's perfect. So, we should get a light, shouldn't we? How are you all doing this morning? All right, so here we go. This is our Brazil silver stripe. Let me make sure I'm telling you right. Yeah. So you get different type of leaves on here. You can't even be for certain as to what kind of plant they are. Sometimes they can bling because now we would say that this is like a something a cream splash because of that. But we look at these just the stripes. So all of them are beautiful, and I didn't really think it was that much of a difference. But you look at your Brazil right here, which is like your statement. Um, when you're talking about philodendron Brazils, this is the one that definitely pops to your mind. It is a very, very beautiful plant, really big too. I can say this that this plant does not give me any problems at all, but we're talking about genetics because this one particular doesn't. But the one over here, this one, that one gives me a run for my money, you know? And I don't know if it's genetics, I don't know what it is because they both been grown in the same type of soil. Now, I did buy this one much more mature than that one. Okay, that one was all the way from a very small plant, one that you would go into like your Home Depot and your Lowe's, and you would pay like $9.99 for, not even the big basket. So that one's been with me. Let's go a little bit closer. We can get to it. This one has been with me the longest in my care, so maybe it's just a reflection of how I care for plants. But I'm gonna tell you, if we ever get the formula right, you could see like just with the top of their head, that crown, she is ready to take off and grow. So we're gonna see. That's a lot of pothos. Yeah, I love pothos and philodendrons, especially the trailing plants. They are very easy to care for, in my opinion, and what they give to you is crazy. This right here is a Mikan. Now they have like little fuzzy leaves. They are absolutely beautiful, and right there is my philodendron Florida green. And we talked about that one last week, but that one's hanging all down there. All right, let's get over here. That right there is another Scindapsus, and you can tell the way that the leaves are curled. That one really needs some water. That one actually needs a repot, but I've been delaying it, but maybe not. I don't need to do that for much longer. Get down here. So over there in that corner, that's where I keep them at. And yeah, now I do need to give my strawberry shake some water. You can see right there where that leaf starting to curl there. Love the setup, bro. Love the setup, bro. I grow most of the peppers and other veggies during the growing season, but I've got a bunch of peppers indoors for the one. Hey, let me know how that go. Please let me know because that was the next step. I actually have a little indoor greenhouse, probably about the size of this right here. And I was like, if I could figure out how to grow some type of vegetable or something inside the house, I would do that. I wanted to do that with give tomatoes a try too. But you're doing peppers. Let me know how it goes. I don't know if this is the first time you've done it or if you do this. If you do this, you can let me know now. If you're doing it now and you just experiment and let me know, please let me know. I'm very interested in just growing whatever I can inside doors. I love to cook, and I recently got into wanting to make better meals because me and my family are tired of my same 5 or 7 dishes. So I'm learning how to combine different foods, and I keep saying I'm gonna go to take a culinary certification class just so I can learn how to clash different foods together. But I never get to it. So yeah, let's talk about the peppers. Let me know. Just this is my this is my first winter growing indoors. I just moved to Tennessee. I'm originally from Florida, so this is new to me. Okay, yes. Okay, cool, cool. Just yeah, keep me updated, please. That's pretty cool. That is cool. I'm telling you, I love doing projects and especially things that's gonna benefit me. Okay, look at this, guys. My orange marmalade is taking off. Okay, so I guess the leaf shot through there because that's where it was going to see light. Plants are smart, aren't they? Now, when that leaf unfurl, I may have to do something, but we'll see. No, we don't have none of that in the room. But if they ever pass a legal bill, I am not against learning how to grow all this stuff. I'm telling you what, I feel like farm life, all of that stuff is completely disappearing. And if somebody can grow a little bit of everything, I can't grow everything. Heck, I can't even grow most things. I don't even know if I can grow one thing successful inside the house that could really be beneficial in the world besides my plants right here. You know, I can at least give people oxygen. I can grow some plants. Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're right. I'm seeing the way everything is going, but we still in the red states. Easiest plant to do indoors. I can. Well, let's see here, guys. I think that my Plamani right here might be one of the most beautiful plants I have coming in right now. Look at this. Freaking beautiful. All right. This is my Madridian. And I'm thinking that it's loving the light. We did get that leaf to go ahead and unfurl. And we have one down here. So maybe it likes it. I was getting a little bit worried because I kept on getting these right here. You know, whenever they get like that, you're supposed to just cut it. Well, it just keeps on getting like that. It's even some of those behind there. I don't want to move this plant because I don't know what I have behind here, but I'll do it for y'all. Okay, you can see right here. I just don't like them. I know that it's completely normal and all I have to do is just cut it and all that, but what if I don't want to do that? And what I'm going to do is just put this plant down here so I don't just cram it anywhere. All right, and it's time for me to add on another extension on there. Maybe I can get to that today. I haven't really done a lot of plant work at all this week. Just had to do a lot of other stuff, so it's gonna be nice today to be able to spend a little bit of time. Just for an hour or so, maybe. At least get in here and figure out what work I need to do because really I like getting in here when the kids and everybody are gone because it's a lot more quiet and I can just concentrate on one thing. And not saying nobody means to bother, but you know, when you, it's nothing worse than getting in the middle of doing a repot and you got to start working on breakfast or lunch or the kids playing too rough, something and thump. Now I can't ignore the noise anymore. I have to go ask what's wrong. So not being able to have to do that really takes a project that would have been 4 or 5 hours with that all the way down to like 1 to 2 hours. But it also means I have to be organized. If I notice that if I have a plan, which talking to you all right now, I get to see what work I need to do. I can get in here and boom, get things done. Right off the bat, I know that I need to put an extension on one of my plants and I need to add a moss pole extension on that plant. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a cut on that one and go through here and do some watering. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk about the variegated varieties. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I got to the point where I didn't know what kind of plant I wanted anymore as far as color. I don't believe you could ever get tired of looking at different shades of green. Let's see here. You know, we can get a little bit more light in here. There we go. Of different shades of green. But I got to the point where I saw everyone with variegated plants and I wanted one or two as well, just to see what they was alike. Some was worth the hype, some wasn't. Now I can say the Thai constellations, they definitely are worth every bit of the hype. I really just freaking love these plants. And the Albo, I'm just waiting to see what this one is gonna do for me. I I fell in love with the variegated Albo more before I even knew about the Thai constellation. The Albo has always been more expensive than the Thai constellation. However, when I saw one of these, like in person in the store, I was completely just blown away. I was like, I have to have it. I bought that one, of course. We know the story. I paid like $189 for it, and it eventually died. It got thrips. That was all on me. Um, yeah, So I found these from the big box, and the rest was history. I know I told that story a million times, so I'll save it with y'all. But yeah, and get in here and do some watering. So I'm actually gonna write those down, guys, and do a long form video on it if you all are gonna be interested. Off drip, so yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Um, and I asked last week if anybody had anything that they wanted me to talk about in particular in one of the videos about plant care, just to drop it down there at the bottom of the comment. So same thing still applies for this one, guys. If it's something that we do in the room that you'd like me to talk a little bit more on, just let me know. And I can actually prepare for it so that way I'm not up here just mumbling to you. I can really give you everything that I personally have gone through and what has helped, what didn't help, and just a way for you to be able to save money. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to hop off of here. If you all have any questions, put them down.